Short duration discussion. Shri Arun Jaitley.
So I am extremely grateful to you for permitting me to initiate this discussion under Rule 176 on all issues arising out of the statement of the Honorable Prime Minister made in this House on the 18th of March 2011. The statement, sir, was in the context of the publication of reports in relation to the cash for votes issue and a subsequent report that had appeared quoting a cable sent by a United States diplomat to his government. So this issue has been brought to the center stage by the issuance of this cable and its publication. The larger issue, if we look at it, squarely is an issue of political corruption. It's squarely an issue where the lifeline of Indian democracy and Indian parliamentary democracy is accountability. It's majority in the Lok Sabha, and it is on the strength of that majority that the government of the day gets its mandate to rule the country. If somehow the process of procurement of that majority is subverted, we hit at the very roots of Indian democracy. And I regret to say, sir, in recent years, in recent memorable history, this has not happened once, this has happened twice. And therefore, this issue can neither be underestimated nor understated. On both cases we saw, the 1993 episode and the 2008 episode, that the government of the day did not have a majority in the House. And therefore we had a situation where bribes and inducements were offered to the MPs to cross floor. And in support of that, it was not only mere allegations, it was hard evidence, extremely hard evidence which was sustainable in any court of law. And yet we've spent years and years by some process trying to subvert that hard evidence so that the truth itself could be concealed. So some people referred to 22nd July 2008 as a sad day for Indian democracy. Their reason for the sadness I do not share. Their reason was that monies were displayed in one of the houses of parliament. Sir, if bribe monies are displayed and an exposure takes place, it really should hurt each one of us sitting here is conscious. So I reiterate, sir, it was a sad day not because monies were displayed. It was a sad day for Indian democracy because monies were being paid to MPs in order to convert a minority into a majority. Sir, the Honorable Prime Minister in his statement on the 18th of March has given his reaction to both the WikiLeaks cable as also this incident. It's his reaction to the entire set of events unfolding from that. I must confess his reaction has disappointed us. So is it on the government's agenda? Is it on the government's priority that corruption should be uprooted from the system? So are we losing our touch with the common man who at every stage when he is getting an opportunity in this country is talking in terms of corruption? And one of the biggest problems he refers to is how corruption can be uprooted from the system. It is popularly believed, sir, that corruption will follow Newton's gravitational laws. It doesn't spread at the grassroots. It starts from the top and then starts moving downwards. If the top decides to correct itself, I have not the least doubt that then we can act as role models as far as the rest of society is concerned. And therefore, the very essence of political corruption in this country has to be addressed. Sir, do we have in this house the honesty to at least today, two and a half years after this incident, to state and confess that what was happened was a gross impropriety? Unless we come to that conclusion, we'll never be able to uproot this evil. What we have seen in the last 2.5 years, sir, and this is not new to this country, that you will have one by one efforts being made to cover up this truth. And while I address the Honorable House through you, sir, I will refer to each one of them. The Honorable Prime Minister has said that the cable is unverified and unverifiable. So it's a fact that before the WikiLeaks cables started appearing in the media globally, the United States government had cautioned every relevant state and every relevant nation that the entire storehouse of their diplomatic communications had been broken into, and therefore these were likely to surface, and the publication could create an embarrassment world over. It is not that somebody domestically in India has fabricated a document. If the government of India wants to verify, and if you have the honesty of purpose wanting to verify, these are verifiable, because some of the contents of this and the evidence emanating out of this is a very strong corroborative evidence in a criminal case between a bribe giver and a bribe taker. You have agreements with several countries, including the United States, for legal cooperation. It's on the strength of those that we go and ask foreign states that even if crime is committed in my territory and the evidence is available either in your territory or for a person in your territory, then on the strength of this legal cooperation, please make this evidence available to us. We have legal systems in place. The world is not an uncivilized place anymore. You don't escape from the crime merely because you have crossed the geographical boundaries of the state or a witness has crossed over. There are methods of getting that statement verified. We don't try any one of those efforts. On the contrary, we say these are unverified and unverifiable. But before I come to this cable, sir, let us first of all relate back to July 2008 and try and recollect what really is the truth. The contents of this cable and the evidence which emanates out of it, I concede, is corroborative. It merely has to corroborate the principal evidence which is already there and available in India. The left front parties in July 2008 had withdrawn support. After the support had been withdrawn, UPA 1 was now a minority government. This minority now had to be converted into a majority. A twofold strategy is adopted for that purpose. The first strategy is, sir, I would like as far as possible, refrain from taking names so that you don't have to correct me if I fall into the error of doing that. So the first part of the strategy is there is a case, rightly or wrongly, let me assume for the present purposes wrongly, pending against a senior leader of a political party. In July 2008, the approach of the CBI changes, the affidavit of the CBI changes. And therefore, the opposition of that political party, because of this act of courtesy that you extend to its leader, also changes, and they decided now that instead of opposing this government, we will support this government. So the first gap between majority and minority in July 2008, when the left withdrew support, is made up by the change of stance of this political party. It's a political development. Even if I want to complain, I can make a grievance politically, but I can't go beyond that. But you are still short of numbers. How is this shortage of numbers now to be covered up? The hard reality and the hard truth is that this shortage is now covered up by a retail purchase of parliamentarians.
Please allow the discussion to proceed. Please. Up. Please.
When he says it is a retail purchase of parliamentarians, that is not fair. It's not a fair expression to use the term. He demands
Honorable members, allow the discussion to proceed. बैठ जाइए, आप बैठ जाइए. Please. Honorable members. भाई, आप बैठ जाइए. बैठ जाइए. You will get an opportunity to speak. Please, continue.
I'm grateful, sir. Sir, the first task is identify the vulnerables. That's the first task which is done. Delimitation had taken place. Some constituencies had changed character, some had disappeared, some reserved had become unreserved, unreserved had become reserved. There were some not likely to get nominated in the 2009 election by their parties. So across the board, look at various political parties and identify the targets. After you identify the targets, then obviously those who are in the game of hunting, for those who are willing to oblige, are let loose. And from what transpires thereafter, it is absolutely clear that you use the inducement of money, maybe some other inducements. So we live in a country where the father of the nation had a huge emphasis as far as purity of means is concerned. The target was not that I must get a majority come what may. The target was
stupid and foolish argument should not be made in the house.
Please. This is not going on record. No,
They are doing it. They are doing it every day. Just now also they are.
Venkaiah ji, बैठ जाइए.
What is this? Remove from the record.
Please, it's not going on record. The honorable leader of opposition is speaking. भाई बैठ जाइए. नहीं, वेंकैया जी, please. भाई बैठ जाइए ना. No, please. आप बैठ जाइए. भाई, please. नहीं, वेंकैया जी, please allow the discussion to proceed. Please. भाई, please. please, I request all the members to allow the discussion to proceed. Venkaya ji, please. Aluwale sir. Allow the honorable leader of opposition to continue. Please.
Unwanted and irrelevant remarks.
This is not on record. It's not on record.
Why don't you remove it from the record?
It is not on record. Please, that's enough. Baith jaiye. Please continue, Mr. Jaitley.
Sir,
The speaker.
the government and all those who support this position of what happened have to ask themselves just two questions. The first question is, why did the political party which supported you for the limited purpose during that debate and that vote, and not thereafter, why did it support you? Is it not a fact that a large number of individual MPs belonging to political parties decided to cross-vote for the purposes of this vote? Members of Parliament, sir, were complaining in and out of the House, in the Central Hall, elsewhere in this building, that approaches are being made to them. They were complaining that they were being approached with large offers.
No, please, Mr. Nachappan, please.
Qualified. They were
It's not your time.
for cash for
Please,
Also correct, huh?
please continue.
This is correct. You have done it. Fine.
Please continue.
Correct both.
Sir, MPs were much is being made out of the 3 MPs who decided to act at great personal risk as whistleblowers. Now, 3 of them who were offered decided to stand out. They refused to succumb to those temptations. Whoever was approaching them, they led him up the garden path and then came and made an expose of what actually was happening. Today I find, sir, as a part of this whole cover-up operation, those who are friendly to this methodology of procurement of a majority by this method, this entire process of exposing this was managed by the political party and its leaders to which these 3 MPs belonged. Obviously, these 3 MPs deserve to be complimented, because these 3 MPs were the one who stood out and said, we refuse the offer. If these 3 MPs inform their political colleagues, if these 3 MPs get in touch with some investigative journalist, that's very improper. Because those who were being offered bribes decided to act as whistleblowers and expose it. And because these 3 did it, therefore treat the entire operation as tainted. This is the entire argument being given. And what is the material? Sir, I am not going to place it in detail because this is not the forum to do it. You have a material only in one test case. There were dozens of such cases which were taking place because dozens of people had in fact cross-voted. And in the one case which gets exposed, what is the material? One representative goes to these 3 MPs, makes an offer of cross-voting, recorded on camera. These MPs drive down to another gentleman's house. Somebody on their behalf comes up to their house, again recorded on camera with actual cash. The conversations are recorded on camera. The delivery of money is recorded on camera. Sir, circumstances never lie. When the money is being delivered, the first question will be, who is this man who has come to deliver the money? Check up his credentials. Your entire parliamentary committee report at page 373 and 374 gives his credentials. A letter of introduction for this courier of money for some other purpose given by the people on whose behalf he came is before the committee. So and so is my secretary or political secretary. A signed document. And do we expect that this kind of evidence, which shows the relationship between those who are acting on behalf of the bribe givers and the courier of money, should be disbelieved? And that this entire document, the incident was being enacted? There are signed documents. Forget the camera, forget the video recordings. Cameras don't lie so easily. There are signed documents by both the persons on whose behalf he came, as also the courier who came, with their signatures, giving their identities and relationships which are before this committee. When he delivers the money, he asks these MPs, please speak to my master. The phone calls are recorded. The telecom records show from which number to which number at that time the calls were made. All this was not being engineered. With this kind of an overwhelming evidence, there are some records, the telecom records, the records of activities, letters of introduction. These are almost like documentary confessions which give you the identity of the courier who came to deliver the money. And then we are being told, let's overlook this. Maybe this sting operation was managed by somebody. This, sir, was a whistle-blowing operation. I saw an argument being addressed yesterday on one of our electronic media. How did the members of the party to which I belong know in advance that this sting operation is being conducted? The answer is very simple. My MPs were being approached. My MPs therefore were complaining. And if my MPs therefore inform a media organization and my MPs inform the party, that's the logical course of conduct. What is wrong in that? What is conspiratorial in them? The victims are complaining to the media, the victims are complaining to their own party that this is being done. This was a logical course of normal human conduct. And with this kind of an overwhelming evidence, you have a situation where then the evidence which is presented. So you have the couriers, the negotiators, the couriers, the telephone talks, the video recordings, the documentary evidences. Forget oral evidences. Men may lie. All these facts don't lie. And then what do? In order to create the shammest defense of them all, put up a fake defense that somebody came to my party's office, the courier, and from there he took the money, and therefore this was a made-up exercise. So there is a huge difference between truth and falsehood. Falsehood falls apart, truth holds together. So this was the evidence presented to the parliamentary committee. Now little did they realize that one of the MPs, I regret sir, I'll have to name the MP because I'm not casting an aspersion on him, Mr. Argal, they showed these couriers surreptitiously going into his house and said he was sent by the BJP. Little did they realize that when they sent him in, that camera unfortunately recorded the hoarding outside his house. And the hoarding outside his house was congratulating Mr. Argal for exposing the cash for vote. So it was obviously recorded after the cash for vote had taken place. lying, sir, fabricating evidence. All this was happening in broad daylight, and we are now being told that this operation by the channel and by the complainant should be disbelieved. In the face of this, sir, what has happened? The country is asking one question, and a legitimate question. In 1993, monies were taken and in fact deposited in a bank account. The trail was left behind. And a judgment, in my respectful opinion, at some stage should be re-looked at, diluted the gravity of that offence. There's a strong opinion that the judgment is erroneous, but it's a judgment nonetheless. And therefore, the gravity of an offence against Indian democracy was diluted. This time round, the evidence was so strong, and even that 93 judgment, the subsequent judgment may not come to their aid because the offence of bribery had taken place outside the house. You now had a situation where you again have, for the last 2.5 years, somehow an attempt, we cover this up. We had a parliamentary committee, and the core of the Honorable Prime Minister's statement is, and if I see the Honorable Prime Minister's statement, it says, it's a statement in two parts on this issue. And in the first part, the Prime Minister says, the allegations of bribery were investigated by a committee constituted by the 14th Lok Sabha. The committee had concluded that there was insufficient evidence to draw any conclusion of bribery. So we are now being told that the committee said there is no sufficient evidence of bribery. Subsequently, the Prime Minister says that from my party and the government, nobody was involved. Now let us test it, sir. Criminality, sir, is ordinarily determined by investigators and courts. It's not determined by parliamentary majorities. Parliament was only investigating what happened within the precincts of the House and in relation to its members. The committee, therefore, should never have been, in a case of this kind, divided. But regrettably, it was. 3 members took a view which is closer to probably the view I hold. But let me ignore that view for the moment. What did the other 4, which supported the government, all of whom supported the government in that vote, say? Did they say that we are closing this case for want of sufficient evidence? Bribery is not made out. I'll just read out, sir, from the committee's report, just 2 or 3 paragraphs, in total about 8-10 sentences. Page number 47, 4th paragraph. Taking the statement made by Shri Singh before the committee at face value, the talk of money in the context of Shri Argal joining the Samajwadi Party, the committee feels that a person of Shri Singh's eminence and standing should not have involved in such shenanigans. This is the 4 UPA supporting members saying. Besides the critical junction at which the conversation took place, the very thrust of the conversation has a tendency to raise doubts over the conduct of Shri Singh vis-a-vis his endeavours to facilitate defection of members to his party in violation of the provisions of the 10th schedule of the Constitution. They now come to the gentleman who was the courier. His name was Mr. Saxena. The committee has already commented upon the unconvincing nature of Shri Saxena's testimony before the committee. Shri Saxena might not be telling the truth when he said that he is no longer in appointment of Shri Singh. He might also not be telling the truth, etc. So they doubt the veracity of everything that he says. As regards Shri Sanjeev Saxena, the committee is also constrained to observe that there are many loopholes and loose ends at his testimony. He conceded having given money to the 3 members on 22nd August 2008, it should actually be July, at the residence of Shri Agarwal, as he could not have denied the veracity of the tapes provided by CNN and IBN showing him deliver the money. The clarifications sought to be provided by him in this regard are not convincing at all. And now, sir, please read this statement in contradistinction to what the Honorable Prime Minister has said. I reiterate, the Prime Minister's statement is, the committee had concluded that there was insufficient evidence to draw any conclusion of bribery. Now, what does the committee say? Shri Saxena was a bribe giver wittingly or unwittingly. He therefore does not enjoy immunity under Article 105(2) of the Constitution. He did not know whether the members were whistleblowers. Hence, he could very well be giving bribe with a view of influencing the members for a particular conduct. Several posers have come up before the committee. Now, this is where the committee starts doubting. They hold him to be a bribe giver and then say, why did he come? Did he come at the behest of A, B, or did he come from Ashoka Road BJP office in that video shot days after the event, which showed a hoarding congratulating Mr. Argal for blowing the cash for vote scam? They go through all these possibilities and says, this part should be, therefore his role in the matter needs to be investigated further. And in the final recommendation, this is the conclusion, and the recommendation says, Saxena plus Hindustani plus Kulkarni, their role should be referred to an investigative agency for further investigation. Now, sir, what has the committee said? 3 members dissenting have said a larger case of bribery is made out. The majority of 4 says one of them was indulging in these shenanigans, talking of money, inducing people to defect, talking of money and inducing them to defect. And here we say insufficient evidence of bribery. The other one, they say, doesn't even have the privilege of Article 105(2). This gentleman, his testimony doesn't inspire confidence. He's making unconvincing statements. He's a bribe giver wittingly or unwittingly. At whose behest? Let the police investigate. In the face of this, how can the Honorable Prime Minister, most personal respect and regard for him, I would say, tell this House that the committee had concluded that there is an insufficient evidence of bribery? Quite to the contrary, sir. The committee had said that one was talking of money, indulging in shenanigans. The other was a wittingly or unwittingly a bribe giver, at whose behest needs to be investigated. This is what the House should have been told. What does now the WikiLeaks say, sir?
I'm afraid the honourable member's time is...
It's an important issue, sir. It's an
All right, continue.
I'll try and...
It's all right.
Sir, I take the hint from you, sir. I'll try and conclude.
Thank you.
I'll try and brief up the argument, sir.
I've seen a number of times where time is extended.
Pardon?
Under the rule, if the honourable member has yielded, sir, leader of the opposition has yielded. If you permit me, sir, since the leader of the opposition is on this subject, the latest news which is now come out on all news channels on this very issue is that the entire matter of cash for votes
We are in the
was
midst of-
on this issue, on this short duration,
Please,
239.
No, let...
239.
Yeah.
Rule 239, chairman has permitted and he has yielded. What's your problem?
Which rule are you citing?
Rule 239, I am seeking an explanation with your permission.
He hasn't finished yet. Please let him finish.
Sir, through you, I am seeking an explanation whether Honourable Leader of the Opposition is aware that the latest news regarding this cash for votes issue is that the entire thing was a sting operation mounted by his party, and these are recordings which were
Please.
never given.
Please, please, please.
This is exposed by Tehelka.
Please.
This is exposed by
No,
Tehelka.
please, please.
Sir, this is what, kindly permit me to ask him if he is aware of it.
What is the point of order?
Sir,
Don't interrupt the speech. Don't interrupt the speech.
Point of order. Sir, the issue is the leader of the opposition should explain. The leader of the opposition should explain whether he is aware of the news report put out by Tehelka that the entire operation was done with the knowledge of the BJP.
Please.
That this was a, sir, excuse me,
Jaitley ji,
please permit me
please,
to raise it.
please allow the discussion to proceed.
Sir,
We have
I'm not stopping it. I'm raising a question under the rules of the House for him to explain.
You have raised the question now,
Sir,
that's
let
all.
him explain. Tehelka has put it out just now.
That's all right, you've raised the question, come on. आप बैठ जाइए. Yes, Jaitley ji, please proceed. Please. Please, that's all right. Okay, all right. No, you have not been permitted by the chair. Please, please. Yes, Jaitley ji, please continue.
Sir, I am extremely grateful to my honourable friend for raising this point of order or point for clarification. Sir, I am quite conscious of the fact that the government is in a very serious difficulty on this. And not only is it in a serious difficulty over the fact of the manner in which this procured this majority.
Acha, at that time. Truth has come out.
At times, sir, even
No, please,
at times,
please go ahead. Please go
times
ahead.
even Freudian slips are helpful. My learned friend has asked whether we are aware. I have not seen any such publication. But now that you have raised it, I am quite conscious that investigators friendly to the Congress party are at work to save you. And let me make that point good. Let me make that point good. In the middle of a debate, sir, and I'm not saying they are interfering, we are a free country with free expression. You now are being addressed an argument. Please don't look at the video recording which shows the negotiator negotiating money. Don't look at the courier carrying the money. Don't look at the telephone records or the identity of that courier. Don't look at the persons who cross-voted. But because 3 members of parliament belong to the BJP, they informed their party leaders as to what is happening, and they informed the media organization, please expose this. Therefore, the whole operation must be tainted, and therefore the entire evidence must be seen to evaporate. Now, if Congress-friendly investigators in some journal or some some channel do it, let me tell you, the last organization which has the locus standi to question sting operations is the organization which has carried the latest sting on your behalf. Because ever since their birth, they've only carried sting operations. So let them not therefore start justifying an argument that sting operations per se are questionable because somebody is a whistleblower and an information provider.
Please, Jaitley ji, conclude.
Now, sir, this was a deviation because I was invited into it by my friend. So I come to the question of the WikiLeaks. What is its role? While we were looking at only one case and cases of MPs, you suddenly find a new set of dramatis persona appearing. A cable per se may be no evidence, but then there is a diplomat. The content of what he writes, and there are enough provisions in our law and our legal assistance treaties with the United States where this is good evidence. He says, I saw the rogue war chest, it was shown to me. The money is being stacked up. That is evidence. I saw the conspirators who told me we intend to pay to X, Y, and Z. That is evidence. Those conspirators confessed to him when the conspiracy was on, not years later. That is evidence. And therefore, treat this as corroborative evidence to this larger conspiracy which was on at that time. And you will find, sir, that this is a case which must be taken to its logical conclusion. And even the larger question which my friend has raised, that bribe giving must be pardoned because the victims of bribe giving were the complainants, and the complainants are not good people. At least the people you don't politically agree with. So the second link of the Prime Minister's statement, which is a very important link, relates to the fact where the Honorable Prime Minister says, and I'm just referring to two sentences out of that whole statement, where the Honorable Prime Minister says, how did the people respond to these allegations? In the general election, the opposition parties repeated the allegations of bribery in the trust vote. How did the people respond? And then the Honorable Prime Minister says that this is the voting pattern, and this voting pattern indicates that the people exonerated us. Sir, it's a very serious question of public morality, or a question adverse to public morality which the Honorable Prime Minister has raised. So the question is, does electability or populism condone criminality? The fact that you are elected by the people, the due process of law must then come to an end. Bribe giving is an offense, bribe taking is an offense. If the Prime Minister is right, then logically the converse of what he says must also be true. If people had rejected him, would the offences stand proved without going through a due process? The 1989 election was contested only on the issue of Bofors. People rejected the then government. Can we say it indicted everybody individually who lost the election? Obviously, these operate in different spheres. Electability and criminality operate in different spheres. If we start rationalizing this argument, every mafia or criminal who gets elected will say, I have been supported by and exonerated by the court of the people, and therefore the case against me should now logically disappear. This is an argument which we have been concerned, and I take this opportunity to raise a larger issue. We have been concerned, and the country expects us. Why do people with dubious records enter legislative bodies? Why don't you bring legislative and constitutional changes in this regard? And we've been debating this. We have still been unable to provide a legal mechanism by which we can ensure this. All the best we say is, the parties will try not to put up such candidates. We have not worked it out as to how this can be done. Sir, if this are not good people. At least the people you don't politically agree with. So the second link of the Prime Minister's statement, which is a very important link, relates to the fact where the Honorable Prime Minister says, and I'm just referring to two sentences out of that whole statement, where the Honorable Prime Minister says, how did the people respond to these allegations? In the general election, the opposition parties repeated the allegations of bribery in the trust vote. How did the people respond? And then the Honorable Prime Minister says that this is the voting pattern, and this voting pattern indicates that the people exonerated us. Sir, it's a very serious question of public morality, or a question adverse to public morality which the Honorable Prime Minister has raised. So the question is, does electability or populism condone criminality? The fact that you are elected by the people, the due process of law must then come to an end. Bribe giving is an offense, bribe taking is an offense. If the Prime Minister is right, then logically the converse of what he says must also be true. If people had rejected him, would the offences stand proved without going through a due process? The 1989 election was contested only on the issue of Bofors. People rejected the then government. Can we say it indicted everybody individually who lost the election? Obviously, these operate in different spheres. Electability and criminality operate in different spheres. If we start rationalizing this argument, every mafia or criminal who gets elected will say, I have been supported by and exonerated by the court of the people, and therefore the case against me should now logically disappear. This is an argument which we have been concerned, and I take this opportunity to raise a larger issue. We have been concerned, and the country expects us. Why do people with dubious records enter legislative bodies? Why don't you bring legislative and constitutional changes in this regard? And we've been debating this. We have still been unable to provide a legal mechanism by which we can ensure this. All the best we say is, the parties will try not to put up such candidates. We have not worked it out as to how this can be done. Sir, if this argument is taken to its logical conclusion, it will provide rationality to something which is improper and immoral. Sir, I only hope when the Honorable Prime Minister today addresses us, he retracts from the position as it appeared from his original statement. Sir, finally, all I can say, sir, is that we went through a process where a majority was procured in this manner. Today we are at a situation where at least one thing we have to confess, that there is a strange and an unparalleled power that truth has. Truth not only has a power, it also has a tenacity that it keeps knocking till such time that it vindicates itself. What happened in 2008 was a fraud on India's democracy. The manner in which the vote of confidence was procured through crossover of MPs who were induced by this pattern. And each such reminder, like the publication of the WikiLeaks cable, is only reminding us, who are all the managers of Indian democracy sitting in these houses, that the country is expecting us to come out in much better glory than in which they see us today. I hope, sir, we take this opportunity and respond accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.